Honey and Vinegar by Linetta Davis. Reluctant Resurrection, Part 2. Before we begin this session, if you are on your own grief journey, wait till the end or listen to the end of this video, and I will provide a prompt for you to be a companion for you on your grief journey. Let's begin. Poem number 4. I want to sing an ode to you that is worthy of your memory, to be sung by men of faith, not yearly commemorating the day that you began your journey with the ancestors, because that's too sad and mournful, and you've wept enough for us all. But I should have them sing this song on the day that their women give birth to a babe full of hope and potential, a woman child. Baby, what you see, only you can be. There is no limit, not even the sky. Lift your head and taste the wind, for someday you will fly. Despite the fact that you weren't there to feed me strained baby food, you offered up the cup of knowledge before I knew I needed a drink. You cut my teeth with the world's greatest men of color, where I learned of W.E.B. Du Bois, Toussaint Louverture, and more. And then you did what no one else had done before. You asked me, what did I think? So near the end of high school, I'm bumping Public Enemy, rocking the red, black, and green, organizing riots while understanding historically and socially what all of that means. Then, as a graduation gift, you piled on my plate Introduction to African Civilizations, the Sirius Mystery, and for a little light reading, Beloved. Baby, what you see, only you can be. There is no limit, not even the sky. Lift your head and taste the wind, for someday you must fly. In this life where the lives of men are valued more, you were given a girl to carry on your name, and you said you could not be more proud. You built up a standard in me. The lessons you gave are too numerous to name, but mostly through you I have known love. It was through you that I am able to understand God the Father, distant yet present but ever loving. You, a man, taught me, a girl, to become a woman. You taught me how to fly. I'm writing this ode to you, hoping it is worthy of the work you have done. You are a master builder, and even though your skill and artistry can only be found in one, this building will stand firm as a testament to who you are. And may every man who has ever neglected, abused, forgotten, or abandoned his children know that he is not even worthy to ask your name, but through repentance they should seek it daily. Like you, they should not be afraid to look into their children's eyes and face their inadequacies, because in them lies an opportunity to become great, to become immortal, to become, like you, a father. Baby, what you see, only you can be. There is no limit, not even the sky. Lift your head and taste the wind, for someday you must fly. Journal entry, May 8th, 2004. What do I think is the reason I exist? The reason I think I exist is cloudy sometimes, but mostly I think I exist to change things, be it the status quo, expectations, perceptions, political structures. I believe that I exist to stir things up in people while helping them to raise a standard or at least establish one for themselves. What keeps me connected to life? I believe my role as a teacher keeps me connected. If it weren't for my students, I would have very little connection to the ills of society, nor would I have an outlet by which to determine a cure. How do I perceive myself in relationship to others? It's difficult for me to pinpoint who I am in relationships because most of my relationships have failed. I have no relationship with my mother and my family, and others around me expect me and need me to be strong for them. So in that regard, most of my relationships, except for Calandra, grandmother, Pam, and Anthony, are too draining and unfulfilling. Dante and I have been in constant communication with each other. Not too long after we met, we committed ourselves to each other and were determined to see if we could create a bond despite the distance. In April, during spring break, I drove back to Arkansas. My Aunt Henrietta let me stay in a little back room in her house. Since I'd be there for a week, I went shopping and decorated the room with nice curtains, candles, and pictures of beautiful Black women. Dante and I spent most of our time in there. He'd wake up early to go to work, and then as soon as he was off, he'd be back with me. In that short amount of time, we learned to trust each other enough to begin to let our guards down. We saw the best and worst of each other. One night, I had gotten so drunk that I was actually doing things and saying things that to this day I still cannot recall. I had made myself sick. I insisted to Dante that I would throw up really soon. He laid me down in the bed and held the garbage can in front of me. When I woke up the next morning, he was still holding me close to him with one arm and holding the garbage can with the other. As ridiculous as it sounds, at that moment, I thought to myself, now that's love. Also, that night, I had dreamed that he and I were walking out in the woods. As we were walking, he told me that he loved me. I was hesitant at first, but eventually responded in kind. Later on that day, I told him about the dream and how it seemed so real. I asked him if he had whispered those words in my ear while I was sleeping. Shyly, he said that he had. He cried when I left. We both knew that if anything were to come out of this relationship, one of us would have to move. Dante joined me in Milwaukee 1 month later. I was really excited and afraid of this new arrangement. I had never lived with anyone before. Furthermore, a few years prior to this, I would have considered a woman foolish who would commit to such a thing. Calandra had ridden this roller coaster ride with me from its beginning. Although she can sometimes be a bit abrasive and not easy to tell your innermost thoughts to, she is a very trustworthy and dedicated friend. For those reasons, I wasn't sure how she would react when I told her that I would be, quote unquote, shacking up. Needless to say, she was furious. She left an incredibly hurtful voicemail on my cell phone about how desperate and stupid I must be. She insisted that Dante was a nobody, a mama's boy who would only use me. It wouldn't be long before he totaled my car and ruined my credit. I guess I deserved that. We had always discussed how we would not fall prey to emotionally unstable and financially questionable love. Calandra and I met on the freshman girls basketball team in high school. I'm not sure how she felt about me, but I knew that I didn't like her. She was mean. I don't think we spoke at all during that first season. However, the more we were around each other and the more we laughed about silly things, the more friendly we became with each other. After we graduated from high school, we transitioned into best friend status. I was going away to college and she was working, helping take care of her older brother who had suffered an injury that left him paralyzed. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. While I was away at Alcorn State University, we wrote letters to each other almost every week. We were always of the same mind, always saw things from the same perspective. Apart, we experienced and experimented with womanhood in our own way. But when the going got too tough, we knew that we could count on the other for support. After 2 years in Mississippi, I moved back to Milwaukee. Calandra was already working while I struggled to get a job. Finally, when I became gainfully employed, we both had money to hang out and shop with. Eventually, I got my own place, a studio on the east side. One of my aunts ruined my credit, so I had to get a telephone in Calandra's name. Her mom, who is one of my other mothers, bought some furniture for me from a resale shop and gave me some decorating tips. Meanwhile, Calandra bought a car. We were little women now. After about a year of living alone, I decided to move in my sister and her son, baby Anthony. I wanted to support her so that she could finish high school and possibly go to a local college. Unfortunately, not too long after she moved in, I received a phone bill for $500. Latoya had been calling the psychic hotline. She denied it, of course, but this unpaid bill looming over our heads threatened to negatively affect Calandra's credit report. I tried to work out a plan with the phone company. When I called Calandra to discuss my options, she had changed her phone number. I knew from her past dealings with other people that she didn't want to talk to me anymore. Years later, I had a dream that she needed a job teaching and I helped her to get it. So I called her mother and left a message for her. When Calandra called me back, we talked like we were making up for lost time. We were. I found out then that she was moving to Atlanta the following summer. We worked together almost every day. Finally, one night I asked her why she just stopped talking to me all those years before. Unbeknownst to me, Latoya had made a free taxi service out of Calandra in her car, always calling her wanting to be picked up or dropped off, and she felt that we were taking advantage of her. When she told me, I nearly cried, remembering all the time that had been wasted. How strong is a relationship when the people involved can't talk to each other openly and honestly? Now, this disagreement over Dante moving in with me had the potential to end our relationship for the second time. I had hoped and attempted to reason with her and talk out our differences. She believed that I was making a rash decision stemming from my grief. I wanted her to trust me to make the right decisions for my own life. In the midst of this, we were also dealing with the fact that her move to Atlanta was only a couple of months away. We continued to spend a lot of our free time together, but our conversations were strained. Even on the drive to Atlanta, when I helped her move, our disagreement was like an elephant sitting between us. One night before we went to sleep on the floor of her bare apartment, we tried to tear down the wall separating us, but it seemed indestructible. We went to sleep without speaking and our backs to each other. By the morning, my aching bones were alleviated by a new resolution. Calandra and I continued to not speak about the issue, but I resolved within myself that her friendship was worthy of holding on to. The elephant could stay if he wanted to. To get to her, I'd just make new paths around or beneath it. I'd even decorate it with a pretty pink bow. As long as together, eventually, we would both rid ourselves of this big smelly thing that was destroying the decor of our special room that we worked so hard to build. Journal entry, May 30th, 2004. I'm making room for Dante. Anthony is at Pam's. Dante is out, and I'm at home washing and cleaning. Although this is not my ideal situation, I am thankful for the sweat on my brow since I didn't get to go to the gym today. When Anthony came to live with me, I had to make some adjustments, move some things around, give up some space, but I still kept room to hoard certain things. I have just realized that if everyone who speaks negatively about the survival or longevity of Dante and my relationship is right, then I still would have learned a very important lesson: how to let go. I know that even if I don't end up with a husband and a bunch of little hazel-eyed children, I still will learn something profound, something that I really need to know about my own survival. The Mecca nightclub, seemingly central to my life as a poet, started a poetry contest called Poetry Pit. Once a month, the names of two veteran poets and two neo poets would be pulled, and they would challenge each other. I had no idea this was going on due to my estrangement from the poetry community. However, that did not stop my name from being pulled from the hat. I loved Dasha Kelly, and it was only that and respect that made me try to pick up my pen and thus, for the contest, write about passion. Poem number 5, performed on July 22nd, 2004. The great irony of life is that I've been called here to do something that I no longer have faith in front of a room full of people that I hardly even know. And now I'm being as honest as I've ever been, even when I was alone. If I were to pour out my guts onto this mic committing poetic suicide, you might just mistake it for passion. But I assure you that it's only defecation because I'm filled with frustration from this downward spiral of life, this heavy weight from society's systematic cycle of oppression. And for a moment, ignore the heavy rotation of the assimilated cultural condition and just listen because I'm confessing that for me, this life ain't shit. And I can't tell if it's karma or a lesson from the divine. But right now, my two best friends got my worst interests in mind. The love of my life can't keep me awake at night. My 8-year-old son got a narcissistic persona. My sister claimed my name when getting kicked out the Mecca. My uncle disowned me because I'm independent. Mama avoids me, ashamed of my resilience. I love my stepdad despite his abuse, and not because the court said I wanted him to. There's a girl in my class, broken ankle on her neck. There's a boy next to her who hates his dick. Every murder on the news, I think it's my kids. Every murder in Iraq, I pray it's the end. God don't change, but I'm hoping he'll bend. Or mission or commission, forgive me my sins. I'm consumed by this hell, so can a sister get in? Lord, because I'm tired. I'm tired of this life and I'm tired of this mic. And if one more person tells me all I need to do is write, then I just might take the time to maliciously, yet systematically, deconstruct his conscious thought, arm him only with some books and some pumps, and make him proudly promenade this journey I've walked. But here's the catch. He must arrive here sane and with his spirit intact. And if you can do that, then we can discuss what I should do next. Despite the fact that I made poetry my religion, like Lot to Gomorrah, I must turn my back. And even though the masses must be fed, I'd rather they starve to death than off my fruitless words they be misled. There was a time my work could make you scream and shout, but nothing that I ever wrote helped my daddy out. 49 years old, dead, suffering from depression, and so in his grave buried my heart, my pen, my passion. When the last words flew from my mouth, I felt that I had said all that was needed to say. I was done. I had officially closed that chapter of my life, that part that would scream out my hurts before a live studio audience. As I walked away from the stage, a fellow poet leaned into me crying. "I'm sorry. I didn't know," she said. Another friend started off the subsequent standing ovation. People whom I had once considered friends, but who I had not seen in months, began to form a crowd around me, touching my back, hugging me. But I could barely lift my head to meet their gazes. So I pushed my way through the crowd. Dasha caught me, hugged me, and asked me if saying all of that helped. I said no, through clenched teeth that wouldn't stop chattering. It was as if everything inside of me had turned upside down. I didn't know what to do with myself. Dante pulled me into him, and I stood there, trembling in his arms until we decided it was time to leave. Journal entry, August 30th, 2004. I know that my obstacles are from within. I know that I'm afraid of being wrong or rejected, and I am also afraid of being right. What or where would that lead me? I want to make things happen, to change things, to grow beyond my limitations, but I doubt myself too much. Whew, that bubble of grief caught me by surprise. So if you've listened all the way to the end, and you are on your grief journey, I'd like to invite you to think of your passion. What are you passionate about, even as you wrestle with grief? And write about it. Try to write a poem to express and just try to write a poem that would express how you're feeling and let it take you wherever it needs to take you. What are you reluctant about giving birth to as we end this chapter of Reluctant Resurrection? Thank you again for listening. Stay tuned for the next chapter, Poetic Awakening.